Hi everyone, it's Jack from Jack's English and I have a big one for you today. I'm going to teach you 5 hacks to English fluency. Now I have some incredible advice for you today. These are tips that I've never given before and I really look forward to hearing how it works for you. But before we start that, let's define what a hack is. A hack is a piece of advice or a shortcut. So it's kind of like a cheat to get somewhere quickly. We very often hear this on the internet. So for example, lifestyle hacks, business hacks, marketing hacks. There's so many situations nowadays where you'll see top hacks in order to do well at something. So in today's class, I'm going to give you 5 hacks to English fluency, which are basically shortcuts or alternative methods in order to reach fluency. As I said, I have 5 hacks for you today, and as you can see, there are some hacks that you've probably never heard before. This is not advice that I commonly give to students, but for some students it works perfectly. So the way I want you to approach this video is to watch the 5 hacks, watch the video, and then choose the ones that suit you. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into our first hack. My first hack to English fluency is SMART goals. Now, SMART goals are the perfect place to start this video because this is the planning stage of your study. So what are SMART goals? SMART is an acronym, which means that you take the first letter of, in this case, 5 words, and it spells out SMART. So what does it stand for? SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. These all refer to the type of goals that you need to set. Starting with the first letter, specific, this means that the goal must be well defined and clear to accomplish. To be measurable, you must know what is required to reach the goal. To be attainable, it must be within our ability. We must be able to do it. Relevant means that the goal must be important for you and allow you to achieve bigger things. And then finally, time-bound, you must set a time to achieve the goal. Understand how we can use this in English. I'm going to give you a typical example for when you study English. So let's set a goal together now. Number 1, specific. Add 5 new small talk questions that I can recall easily. Measurable. I can test whether I know the 5 questions perfectly. Attainable. I know I'm able to memorize 5 sentence structures. Relevant. These questions will help me in future conversations. Time-bound. I will achieve this by the end of this week. So that's SMART goals and how we can use it in our English study. I recommend to you at home, write down SMART on a piece of paper and use this to write your goals. Maybe your goals are for the week, for the month, or even for the year. This is what businesses do. This is what they do in psychology, marketing, sport. Why don't you try it at home and improve your English study goals? My second hack to English fluency is mnemonic devices. Now, I've certainly not mentioned this to you yet, but you may have heard of this before. Mnemonic devices are memory techniques to help your brain better recall information. So obviously with learning English, this is a very useful technique. There are so many types of mnemonic devices, chunking, rhymes, acronyms, but today I want to focus on one in particular, imagery. Mnemonic imagery can be used to learn new and very difficult words that we're unfamiliar with. Let's give an example to show how we can do this. Look at this new word here, frugal. Do you know this word? Have you heard this before? Perhaps you have, but it's not a very common word. Frugal means economical, particularly with food and money. So basically very good at saving. But perhaps you can't remember that. And perhaps you can see it on the page, but it's just not sticking in your brain. So what can we do? We can use mnemonic imagery to help you recall the word frugal and quickly recall its meaning. Let's do an example with this word. So with frugal, let's look at fru. Now to me, this reminds me of fruit. So I'm going to have the image in my head of fruit. And the second part of the word is girl. Now gal, G-A-L, actually means girl. So in my head, I'm thinking of fruit, girl, fruit, girl. I can imagine that this girl is trying to buy cheap fruit because she is frugal. So this image of a girl in the supermarket trying to buy cheap fruit will help me remember the word frugal in the future. I gave you an example using English, using fruit and girl. But remember, if that's difficult, you can use your language as well. If fru and gal remind you of something in your language and you have this image in your head, perfect. That's an even stronger image for you personally. So use this imagery, particularly with those difficult words that are just not coming into your head, and I am sure that you will be able to remember things more clearly. My third hack to English fluency is to think in English. This is so important because it helps you to speak quicker, to listen more carefully to the speaker. You know, it's terrible if the speaker is speaking to you, your conversation partner, and you are trying to translate and think it's going to interrupt the conversation. It also helps us to have spontaneous conversations because we spend less time thinking and more time just being able to speak. Spontaneous conversations are conversations that happen without planning, without expecting. So you have to really be ready to have those kind of conversations. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about how to do this because I made a video recently. So I'll link that at the end of this video. I'll also put it in the comments so that you can find a more effective way to think in English. My fourth hack is what I call extreme imitation. This is where you follow a specific person so fully you are going to almost become them. So let me explain that more clearly. We already know mimicking and shadowing. I think some of you may already shadow me. I have some shadowing videos. But this is deeper than that. This is where you choose a real person or a fictional character that you can see on screen or you can see in real life, and you imitate them as much as you can. You will imitate their accent, their intonation and pitch, the rhythm of their speech, and more importantly, their mannerisms. This means how they use their mouth, their facial expression, their eyes, their body, their habits. So you are going to become this person. This is a great way to become fluent because you will learn the mannerisms of a fluent speaker, a native speaker. And you will be able to quickly improve your fluency in particular. I mean your pronunciation, your rhythm, intonation. That will improve much quicker. It also helps with the cultural differences. For example, I know in Korea, people use their body differently to English and American people. We tend to be more expressive. We use our hands a lot. I sometimes use my hands on these videos. And we shake each other's hands and we hug and we do these things that are culturally different. So, extreme imitation is a great way to quickly adapt yourself to the culture and become more fluent. My final hack to English fluency is the Diglot-Weave technique. I am sure you haven't heard of this before. This is something that came up in my studies when I was studying how to teach English. But it's not so common. So let me explain what it is first. The Diglot-Weave technique is where you insert a word from a language you don't know into a language you do know. So that's probably going to be your native language. This means that you are going to say a whole sentence in your language and just put your target word into that, into the right context, of course. An example of this, using German, because I'm studying German, let's use the word Katze, Katze, which means cat in German. I'm sorry if my pronunciation is not so good. Now, maybe I'm struggling to learn this word. Let's just say I'm struggling to learn it, so I need to use the Diglot-Weave technique. I could use this sentence. I have a pet Katze. My Katze is quite shy. It sounds ridiculous, but it's actually quite a good way for your brain to start programming the meaning of that word and how to use it in context. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of using this technique a lot. I think you should only use it when you're really struggling with a word. So take that word from earlier, frugal. Perhaps you're really struggling with the word. You've tried mnemonic devices, you've got that image of the fruit and the girl, but it's still not coming to you. So you try the Diglot-Weave technique. This means that you're going to put frugal into your language sentence in the right context with the right meaning, and that could program your brain to fully understand how to use it. This is something to try. For some people, this works so well, it's so effective. For others, not so much. Perhaps they prefer the imagery I talked about earlier. But as I said, give it a try. Try it particularly on the words you're struggling with. So that's 5 hacks to English fluency. If you can watch this video and take one tip and apply it to your studies, that's fantastic. Everyone's different when learning English, and you have to find what works for you. So I hope this gives you something different to think about, and these give you some ideas for different techniques that you can use in your study. Remember, if you want to hear more about thinking in English to stop translating, check out my video. I discussed some techniques how to stop doing that and how to program your brain to start thinking in English. I'll link that below in the comments. Thanks for watching this lesson. If you have any questions about today's lesson, let me know in the comments below and I will answer you. Also, please like and subscribe because that really helps me grow and bring you more and more content. Have a good week and see you very soon. Bye-bye.